Hi guys, this is Samantha K here from the Samantha K Experience. I'm here to tell you guys that it's free and easy to start your own podcast. Don't know where to start? Well, here's how. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more podcast websites. You can make money from your podcast as well with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey, it works for me, and I'm living proof. This podcast may contain adult themes and adult language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey guys, welcome back. This is another episode of the Samantha K Experience, and I am Samantha K. Wow, we have a jam-packed show for you this evening, and I am so thrilled to be back. I was thinking about the podcast and the first episode, and I was pretty psyched. I got a few good responses from some friends of mine about the podcast, and they said that they couldn't wait for the second episode, and here I am. All right, guys. I have to do some housekeeping quickly before we get started. I don't want to hit the intro just yet, but there's some things that I wanted to discuss before we get into the show. There's some quick housekeeping things. I have to correct myself from the last podcast. I did mention the webtoon series called Nice to Meet You. I had mispronounced the author's name. Her name is Wishroom Ness. She could also be found on Instagram, and I think she might have her Twitter, but I have to go back and check on that. But I know for sure she definitely has an Instagram because I follow her. So her name is Wishroomness. That is WISHROOMNESS. Wishroomness, as in kind of like mushroom, but not mushroom, just with the wish in front of it. And I also wanted to mention that the creator of Death of a Pop Star, which is also featured on Webtoons, is Violet Karim. I believe it's either Kareem or Karim, but I am going to spell it. It's her last name is Karim, as in Mary. So you guys can check those two webtoons out. They're very fun and very exciting, and I'm still in the process of reading them, so I don't really want to give away too much. I know I talked about it briefly on the first episode, but I just want to do some quick housekeeping, so you guys could know who these fantastic artists are and their work. And when you get the chance, you could go check it out for yourself. There's also one that I'm also reading right now. It's called Lore Olympus. But I am going to give you the information on that before the end of the show, because I wanted to touch something that was very serious right now. So I'm just going to switch gears. I don't normally cover these type of topics because, given the climate that we're living in right now. But I just wanted to tell you guys before we go into depth on the show. If for those of you who watch pro wrestling or are a fan of pro wrestling in general, unfortunately we had a passing on Saturday. Former WWE superstar Luke Harper passed away. He also performed as Brodie Lee in AEW. He passed away on Saturday, according to his wife, or she posted on her Instagram page that her husband's actual real name is Jon. So Jon Huber, aka Luke Harper, aka Brodie Lee of the AEW, he passed away surrounded by his family on Saturday due to non-COVID issues. He had some lung problems, and unfortunately he passed away. Jon was 41 years old, and he leaves behind his wife Amanda and his 2 children, 2 sons. If anyone wants to donate to the family, I believe Pro Wrestling Tees have decided that any proceeds for Jon and his family, you could purchase his character's Brodie Lee's t-shirts, his merchandise on ProWrestlingTees.com, as well as CM Punk has offered, so also for anyone who purchases CM Punk's merchandise on Pro Wrestling Tees, also all the proceeds goes to help Jon's family in this unfortunate time, I guess, to pay for any expenses that they may have, as well as Mick Foley, former WWE legend, has also have his merch available for purchase, and all the money that they get is going to go directly towards Jon's family. So just wanted to touch base on that, because I know a lot of people, make fun of pro wrestling and, all the foolishness that goes on with pro wrestling, but it's really sad to hear that someone like Jon passing, because I used to watch him when he was as Luke Harper in WWE, and I always felt that he was so underutilized, and he was such a good performer, a really good wrestler. It's just only unfortunate that, he didn't really get to shine as much as he did there as he did in AEW, and he just seemed like he was just getting his footing in the door with AEW once he was let go from WWE, and he decided that he wanted to move on to better things. All over Twitter, his co-workers from AEW shared their grief and their love for him and his family. And so former and current WWE superstars also on their Twitters also expressed their deepest condolences to his family, and also any other persons, his friends that were affected by his untimely passing. And I just want to give like my condolences to the family, and it's really hard losing a loved one, especially someone that has made such an impact in their lives, and with everything going on, and then now his unfortunate passing, it just makes everything a little bit tough. And so I just want to my prayers go out to his family, and if you guys would like to buy either Brodie's or CM Punk's or even Mick Foley's, or just buy anything of his, and help support the family in their time of need right now, that'd be very appreciated, because he's a really decent guy, and there was a lot of stories a lot of wrestlers shared about him, and just how much of a stand-up guy he was, and he was really about his family. And it's really awesome to hear, like, these wrestlers being humanized, in such a way that it was vast different from the way how his character was as Luke Harper. Like, he was just very, very intimidating, figure in the ring, and even outside the ring in, you know, his promos. It was just like, oh my god, this guy's really scary. But just to hear that he was like such a sweet guy, it was just like, it sucks hearing that, you know, he passed on. I'm gonna also be donating and doing my part to help support his family, because it just feels like, you know, for me it's the right thing to do. You know, so like I said, if you guys would like to donate, then you're more than welcome to do so. And the website is prowrestlingtees.com. All right. And now, let's start the show. All right, guys. Okay. Now, let's get into the show. All right, so the movies and TV reviews. Let me tell you, I am currently watching Stranger Things. I haven't watched it in about a couple of weeks, but I am currently watching the first season. I believe I'm in episode 7. And it's ironic because there's a character named 11 in the show, and so I guess 7-Eleven. Haha. I know that was so corny. Yeah, I think what I like about the show a lot is the 80s references, because since I'm an 80s kid, you know, I feel like I have a genuine idea of what like the 80s were, even though I was like really small. So, you know, I like the clothes. I like the fact that, you know, even down to the house and the decor and the music, even the theme, it's like it has like that nice synth, kind of like a sort of like a new wave kind of feel to it. And that's what I like. I like the fact that, you know, there's like a mystery shrouded as to what's going on with these 4 kids, and whether or not they could try to find their friend. And, you know, then there's like this weird monster thing, and it kind of looks like a demented flower. You know, so it kind of leaves you like guessing and trying to figure out what's going on, like who's all these shadow people, and like how did 11 become 11, so to speak. Like how did she become the way she is? I don't want to give too much for those who haven't yet watched Stranger Things. I believe there are 3 seasons on Netflix, and like I said, currently I'm doing the first season. I decided to finally give it a try and buckle down and try to watch it. And I like I like it so far. I think I have a lot more questions than I do answers, but I think some of those answers, some of those questions are going to be answered as the show goes on. So that's what I'm currently on with that. And also, there's an anime called Aggretsuko. It's about a young, I believe she's a fox. It's basically an anime that deals with animals. Our characters, they're talking, and it's about this one particular fox who works in an office building. She has a boss who's a pig, and he's really a pig. He's like really not nice. He's basically a major asshole. He has an assistant that kisses his ass. She has like a couple of friends that she meets who work in a different department on a higher floor. They're more like boss, as you want to call it, boss bitches. One's a gorilla, and the other one, I believe, is an eagle or a swan. I gotta check to find out what is it that character is, what type of animal that character is. But anyway, Aggretsuko goes through all of this stuff where, you know, she gets demeaned at work. she always has all of this paperwork to do. She never gets fully respected, and all of the stuff just pretty much piles up on top of her. And she uses karaoke as an outlet, and it's funny because she uses death metal as a sign of a way of relief to get all that aggression and pent up frustrations that she has dealing with work, dealing with an overbearing parent as her mom. Her mom tries to set her up out on dates, and then she has a new co-worker in season 2 who she says something and he takes it to a whole different extreme. It's like he's one of those people who she says something and then he records everything that she does and says, and it just became a like really toxic environment for her. And and I think what I like about it is because she's relatable in a sense, because I used to work in an office and dealing with different characters, like your different co-workers and different personalities, and then it's hard because then you're trying to fit in and then realizing that maybe you just don't fit in as much as you think you do, and then having to meet deadlines and then false expectations that are put on you because you know that you're never going to achieve them. It's a lot. And then I also like to sing as well, so I feel like a lot of the times that the drama that she goes through, I'm like, oh crap, I can relate to that, because that has been me. I've never really done I only did karaoke once already in my lifetime, and I thought it was awesome, but I never used it as an outlet to channel for my anger. But I just thought it was pretty cool because I could relate to the whole working for other people in an office setting, and then so she's just very relatable. So I'm currently in season 2 of the show. That also has 3 seasons and also could be found on Netflix. So if you guys want to take a gander at that, you're more than welcome to do so. And to update you guys on season 2 of Manhunt Deadly Games, I finally finished the 10-episode arc involving Richard Jewell, who was suspected of being the Centennial Olympic Park bomber back in '96 at the Olympic Games. I spoke about this a little in depth in the first episode, and I'm like, oh my god, guys, this show is good. If you like procedural shows, like cop shows, and watching how they track down the guy and everything, this show is for you. Like, even though it's based off of a true person, there are some characters I think that the show put in there, like the FBI agents, the 2 major FBI agents, which is Knox and Brennan. I don't think that they really exist, because I tried to look for information online to find out if those characters exist, and I read an article somewhere that said that they were just put in there just for like effect. And also the ATF agent, Agent Embry, I think he might be real, but then again, I couldn't really find anything substantial to support him being a real person. But the head director of the FBI is real. That is a real person. I didn't really look much into him, maybe because the fact that the character was a major putz. He was like an asshole to begin with. So I was kind of like more focused on the central characters, which was the ATF agent, the two FBI agents who kept freezing out the ATF agent because it was their case and they wanted to take over and essentially get the credit. But as the show goes on, you realize that the Agent Brennan realizes that he fucked up, and now he's like, oh shit, maybe this guy didn't really commit the crimes. But long story short, the FBI never fully apologized to Richard Jewell for suspecting him in the first place. They never really took accountability for that. I think the show kind of showed that they did a bit, but again, it was based off of a fictional character, sort of even then he didn't really say that he didn't really give an apology. It was more like they kind of walked around the fact that they, didn't want to give him the apology. And unfortunately, I think when everything was all said and done, Richard Jewell had passed away, I believe back in 2007. I have to check my records and find out. I think he passed away in 2007. He had complications of diabetes, and I think he was like 43 or 44 years old at the time of his death. And the case that he had against the Atlantic Journal, Constitutional Journal, I think I might have switched the names around there for a bit, but he and the reporter, Kathy Scruggs, she also passed away before the case was finally dismissed, because both people obviously passed away, but it was one of those, like, I think there was a settlement. But as far as I know, Richard's mom is still alive, and I don't know if anyone really gave them any settlement money. I think there might be a settlement, or the case might have been dismissed for whatever reasons. Pretty much both sides weren't backing down because of the fact that, he was defamed in the media horribly, and this reporter seemingly, felt she did nothing wrong, even though that there were facts that were leading away from him being the suspect, while the actual suspect was out running around bombing people, bombing places. And this gave him an opportunity to get away with a lot, as opposed to this man being under media scrutiny, and essentially destroyed this man's life practically. But it was a really good show. Like, I liked it, especially there was one part that I am going to give a spoiler for this. There was one part where it was kind of a nail-biting situation. The ATF agent had found a bomb in the forest, and he had disarmed the bomb, and the bomber saw him messing around with the bomb, trying to defuse it, and then he tried to activate it while the ATF agent Embry had just took the piece apart, the detonator part, and then he felt like the gears clicking. And then when he got radioed by the FBI agent, he said the bastard tried to kill me. Like, he tried to set it off while I was trying to disarm it. And I think that was a time when he realized, like, he was like, yo, this is too much for me. I have to quit. So in the show, he not too long quit after that. It was too much for him to bear, because this was like the second time he nearly got killed as a result of this guy. So it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was a good turnaround for the Agent Brennan, because he went from pretty much, oh, I don't care if this guy pretty much did it, it said the evidence says it itself, to I might have made a mistake. And he ended up losing his job. He gave up his job, and as a result of it, because now it seemed like he just completely fucked the entire investigation, which he had to realize, finally accepting Agent Embry's bomb expertise, and realizing, hey, this first bombing, you have the wrong guy, and that's all they were trying to prove, Richard Jewell's innocence, and they eventually did. But it was a really good show. If you guys want to check it out, go ahead, you're welcome to do so. It's based off of real people. Richard Jewell actually existed. Kathy Scruggs actually existed. The FBI director existed. I believe the militia that's inside the show existed. I don't know if those are the real names involved, but I'm gonna leave it there with the militia, because I don't know, and I'm going to pretend I don't know. Overall, it was a damn good show, and I enjoyed it, and I was like at the edge of my seat trying to figure out what's going to happen next with this guy. And yes, the guy is actually in prison and is spending in prison for the rest of his life, as he should be. All right, so yeah, check it out. Manhunt, Deadly Games, 10 episodes, Netflix. I noticed I gave you guys a lot of Netflix shows. All right, which is not a bad thing. Oh, I also recently watched, in light of the new Wonder Woman movie that just came out, Wonder Woman 1984. I watched the first Wonder Woman movie with Gal Gadot last night. I must say, honestly, I did like it a bit, because I like the fact that it told the beginning of her story. I think they lingered on a little too much with I don't want to say the whole thing between her and Steve Trevor, but I feel like, in a sense, they made her rely too much at times on him, and I don't know what it was about. That kind of made me a little annoyed with that, because it was one of those, like, it seemed like she couldn't do anything without him at times. And I guess that's essentially okay, but it was just like, I just didn't like that part. What I didn't like was, there was a lot of action sequences in this movie, and that's great and all, but there were some action sequences. There was a lot of slow motion foolishness when it came to the action sequences, like stupid jumping over something. And it was cool when her aunt did the whole jumping up and threw and shot the 3 arrows and killed the 3 German guys. I'm sorry, it's a spoiler, by the way. But then it's like they just kept on doing it too much, and I was just like, come on, man, like, not everything gotta be slow motion. And even her walking, it's like, what? Like, that part, I was just like, I couldn't deal with a lot of the slow motion nonsense. It was just too stupid. Overall, I think the movie wasn't bad for a character that had a first movie and some background. I do think that there were times when they should have been more honest with her and told Diana the truth about certain things, instead of withholding stuff from her, because it just made it seem like, well, why didn't you just tell her, especially right before she left the mascara with Steve Trevor. Like, why didn't Hippolyta just told her the truth right then and there, right before she left, as opposed to, not telling her the truth? It was like you had plenty of opportunity to do so, and you just fell short and didn't do it. So that was one of those things that I kind of didn't really like too much about the movie. But I really sit down and watch the movie again, probably not. I think because I was just kind of like, it's bad because I shouldn't go into a movie with bad expectations, because you've heard so many negative things and positive things, but your mind is, subconsciously already made the decision for you, and that's not okay, to say the least. But I shouldn't say that I'm not gonna watch it again. I mean, I'll probably give it a try, or another try, just because, when I watched it, to be fair, I was tired and I was kind of falling asleep at certain points. So I'll probably give it another try, just to be a little bit more fair to it, and see if my opinions about it changed a bit. But overall, the slow motion stuff was really annoying to me, because it just like they kept overdoing it, and it's like, you already got one gift. Don't try to like overcompensate or do too much of the same thing. Like, change up a bit. So I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of didn't like the movie as much as I should have. So that's that. There was another movie recently that I watched called The Act of Violence. It was starring Bruce Willis and Cole Hauser, and it's a really good movie. Honestly, I know I love Bruce Willis, but sometimes it feels like his movies all feel the same at this point. I don't know what it is, but excuse me, I had to take a drink. I think that for me, his movies just feel the same a lot of the times. But yeah, Act of Violence wasn't bad. I actually liked it because it was about these three brothers and their sister. My sister was supposed to be adopted, but she kind of just got, you know, how you call a best friend a sister. It's about these two older brothers who are very protective of their younger brother, and they both have served in, you know, armed services. One has come back obviously with PTSD and hasn't been able to find a job and hasn't been functioning properly. You know, he's been through 2 divorces, and, you know, it's just, life has been hard on him. And his brother, who's married and stuff like that, the second oldest, he's married and he's looking to start a family. Their third brother, he's engaged to the girl that's seemingly their sister. She's not their sister by blood or anything like that. It's just that they just call her that. The other two brothers. She goes out on a night at a town with her friends at a bar. She gets accosted by these 2 guys and she gets kidnapped. So now the three guys are on their way to try to rescue her, and they uncover like this sex trade and drug trafficking trade going on all at once, and it's spearheaded by Mr. what was the character's name? Max Worthington. Is played by Mike Epps. This is the first time I've actually literally seen Mike Epps playing like a really bad guy. And so sometimes when you have comedians take on like more serious roles, it's kind of hard for people to see it. I remember when a person like Jim Carrey, who was completely known for comedy, when he decided to branch out and do things like Man on the Moon and Truman Show, and even 13. I think the movie was called 13. You know, and Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. It's like you're like, what? Like, this is not the same person. Even with when Robin Williams, you know, did things like 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia, you know, it's kind of hard because you're so used to them being comedic, and it's like when they decide to take dramatic roles, it's like, yo, it leaves you thinking like, I don't know. But they're so good at doing these dramatic roles that you kind of like overlook it, and you know, you're like, hey, this is really good for them. Like, this is really, you know, it takes you out of that mindset and stop putting them in a box, and you know, and it's really good. But anyway, back to the movie. The movie was pretty good. I feel like Bruce Willis kind of took more of a back seat to me in the movie. Like, he was there, he had a presence, but I feel like the movie mainly focused more on the 3 brothers, and Bruce was more like the cop that was trying to bust Mike Epps' character, but he wasn't as major of a factor as the 3 other brothers because they were like the driving force in the movie. They were tired of, you know, people getting run over by criminals and people not doing enough, and the police not being able to get the full support and arrest this guy. So they took it upon themselves to do what was best. And you know, it was a good movie overall. I generally liked it, and I thought it was pretty awesome. On the front of more TV shows, honestly, guys, there are some ones that I want to watch, and I know I'm like really giving you guys a whole bunch of shows to watch. There's one on Netflix called Bridgerton. It's a Shonda Rhimes show. It's a period piece. It looks like it's romantic. I haven't watched it yet. I'm also curious as to how it's going to turn out. I've heard some people say that they like it a lot and they don't mind it. So might give that a try coming up this weekend. There is also another movie that I'm in the process of watching called Rebecca, and it stars Lily James and Armie Hammer. Honestly, it's one of those, I want to say it's like a romantic thing, but from the sounds of the description, it doesn't really sound like it's really a romantic thing. I don't know if it's very suspenseful, but it's basically about this widower. Is it a widower? He comes across this young lady who works as a secretary to this older woman, and I guess he's become, I want to say, enamored with her, but it doesn't really seem like he is. I'm like about 20 something minutes into the movie, and I'm already like trying to figure out, like, is he really genuinely falling for her or not, you know? But yeah, if you guys want to take a look at that, the movie is called Rebecca. Oh, and if you are a fan of Christmas movies, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, Fat Man. It's funny. It's starring Mel Gibson and, oh my God, Walter Goggins. I almost messed his name up. Walter Goggins. The funny thing about Walter Goggins, I'm gonna tell you guys, he usually plays like those crooked cops or henchman type of characters. So it's so funny and weird seeing him play more of a leading role in this movie. And Fat Man is about Santa Claus, and basically Santa Claus is kind of sort of fed up with the fact that, you know, he feels like majority of the kids in the world has forgotten him and they're not nice, and you know, and he's taken on a lot of abuse over the years because people, you know, hitting him or shooting him with something, and you know, trying to get into their house to give him presents and stuff like that. But I don't want to give away too much on it. Fat Man is on Prime Video, and if you want to check it out, it's also on this app called Cinema HD. You could download it for your devices, and you could watch the movie there. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's an interesting take on the whole Santa Claus thing, if you like it. And yes, I consider this a holiday movie because it is centered around Christmas. And, you know, no shade to anybody who likes Die Hard, but I still have my opinions on that, and I digress on it. As far as anything else on the maybe TV front or movie front, I'm still in the process of watching some other stuff, and I haven't really finished it yet, so I don't really want to give you guys a full-on review yet without, you know, finishing up what I've been watching. But I will tell you this, I do feel comfortable that by next episode I shall give you guys a rundown on Rebecca and Bridgerton, sorry. I don't know, I can't get these names right sometimes. But yes, Bridgerton is a Shonda Rhimes show, like I just mentioned. And if you guys don't know who Shonda Rhimes is, she is the creator of the ABC TV shows How to Get Away with Murder, starring Viola Davis. Also, the political show Scandal, starring Kerry Washington and Tony Goldwyn, and a cast, impeccable cast and crew. And she also done Grey's Anatomy as well, which is starring Ellen Pompeo. And she also has done Private Practice, that starred, oh my gosh, what is this girl's name now? Kate Walsh. There you go. I was about to say, like, what was her name, and completely had a brain fart. Yes. So, I'm gonna give you guys the name of the webtoons author for Lore Olympus, because I didn't forget about that. And I'm gonna send it. I'm just gonna see if I could find the person's name. Yes, it's Rachel Smythe, who is the author of Lore Olympus. Now, I just now started reading this, and interesting fact that Rachel is from New Zealand. That's awesome. And I also noticed that when watching Xena and Hercules back in the day in the 90s, a lot of actors from those two shows were also from New Zealand. So that's an interesting take. And there were gods and goddesses on that show as well. And it's just a little interesting tidbit. Yes, Lore Olympus apparently came about on Webtoons in March of 2018. Just over about 2 years ago now, and it updates every Sunday. And also, if you guys just to piggyback on the other two webtoons that I'm currently reading, Nice to Meet You, I believe, updates on Mondays. Yeah, I believe Nice to Meet You updates on Mondays or Saturdays. I believe they might be on Monday. What was the other one? Death of a Pop Star, I think, updates on Saturdays. So you guys have a plethora of reading material to go on this week. And a quick update on Monica Gallagher's Assassin Roommate. I'm in season 5, and I'm pretty much at the very beginning of season 5, so I don't want to really give too much away. And season 5 is the last season of the show. I'm not sure that she's completed it and she's putting it on Patreon, because she does have a Patreon, as I mentioned in the first episode. But I think that, if you guys are interested in reading about spies and stuff like that, then Assassin Roommate is the right, I want to call it manga, but it's the right series for you. I'm also, see if I could watch some anime. I did start, maybe sometime last year, I started on My Hero Academia. I have to finish it, to be honest with you guys, and I just haven't had the time to really sit down and really watch any anime like that, because I've just been trying to do other things, and haven't been able to get myself together. But yeah, you guys, if you really want to read, and those are all the stuff that I'm reading so far. Wow. That's the end of our show. If you guys have any suggestions for me, whether it's reading materials, watching movies or TV, or even a music suggestion, I'm also open to doing music reviews as well. Haven't done one yet, but I'm open to pretty much almost any type of review at this point. It was fun, and I really hope you guys enjoy the show, and I can't wait to see you guys and hear from you guys. I also wanted to say before I go, because I almost forgot to tell you guys, if you guys could follow me on Facebook at Samantha K Experience, Just type it in and you'll find it. The Samantha K Experience. You should see like a big banner that has all of these little different things on it. It has Harry Potter, David Bowie, has like fashion, like Iman and stuff like that. That's my page. Go on my page. It's called Samantha K Experience. And I also have a Instagram set up by Samantha K EXP 218. That is Samantha K EXP 218. And I'm also on Twitter at the same handle, Samantha K EXP 218. So if you guys ever want to drop me a line, those are the 3 ways that you guys can find me on social media. And I hope to hear from you guys soon. And take care. Bye now.